The War Within story explained in 20 minutes. With pauses from Sam, maybe 30. But let's see what this is all about.
A voice calls from deep within our world. It heralds the biggest... Your own site.
Hold on.
A voice calls from deep within our world. It heralds the biggest arc in the game's modern history, the World Soul Saga, something that strikes at the heart of what it means to be a defender of Azeroth and uncovers
I saw
just
the Dorne
what
video
all of those Titan machines strewn across the world have been doing all of this time. Such a mammoth arc needs a worthy introduction, and that is the job of the War Within, an expansion that will bring us to the Isle of Dorne and the many realms that exist below it.
I have to say, real quick, aesthetically, the new zones are really doing it for me. Especially, you got this one, and then you got the, what is it called, Hallowfall or whatever, you know, the one with the big crystal at the top. Those two zones look so damn good to me, I cannot wait to go to them. They freaking look... I love the dwarf aesthetic here, and I never played dwarf, but I always liked their aesthetic. This looks freaking good, man.
It's below it.
I cannot
we'll
wait.
Find Titanforge,
Hallowfall,
True
yes.
Blood's Lordaeron descendants, the return of the light, and in its deepest reaches, Xal'atath leading a thriving kingdom of Nerubians. Something absolutely
also,
massive
Nerubian architecture is really cool, and we've never gotten it really outside of a dungeon, so this is
we
nice.
need to get a handle on it. So, kicking off a new era of World Soul lore, today, diving into the War Within and
how good this shit looks. Oh, God, I can't wait.
Bringing you today's sponsor, Squarespace.com/Bellular Gaming, the place to rapidly get yourself established on the web and where you can enjoy their game-changing Fluid Engine. Pretty next-level way to customize your website just how you like. They've ran two of our sites, of course, most recently one for our game studio, and when I hopped in, I just found the upgrade button sitting there in a content block, so I clicked it and I was quite happy I did, because Fluid Engine is a really cool feature. It presented me with a grid, right? And I soon realized, I can just drag and drop things around this grid and they'll just go there. It'll work for images, text, buttons. You can size them, position them how you want.
Guys do love
and this
those
lets you take their award-winning templates and accomplish exactly what you want. And of course, because it's Squarespace, it all works in all the different screen sizes, mobile, tablet, all of that. It's the kind of thing that's just never really felt as good as it should have on the web, and now it actually does, which is brilliant. So that they've solved this is a certainly impressive feat, and one that absolutely democratizes web development, makes this kind of thing easier for the average person like me to do. So that's Fluid Engine.
You guys bitching me out about my fucking YouTube farming on my Twitch channel. Look at that shit. Just got another sub. Thank you, Jellic.
Really sweet. And you can, of course, check it out, and you can build your own site for free at squarespace.com/Bellular Gaming. And then, if you use the code Bellular Gaming, you'll get 10%
Discovery.
off an annual plan.
I'm playing it.
Thanks to Squarespace for supporting us.
But I'll watch people play it.
Our World Soul.
Yes,
they said it themselves, a hook strong enough to hang 3 expansions from. That is the core of this whole arc. Azeroth is a World Soul. She's finally waking up. It's so important it drove the War Within cinematic. Far away from conflict, we see Anduin and Thrall in Silithus, brought together by the voice of Azeroth herself. Thrall, of course, is in a way no stranger to the World Soul. He was indeed the World Shaman. But all the way back in Warcraft 3, Thrall and Karn invoked the Earth Mother. In a way, this is the first canonical reference to Azeroth having a personality, in the form, of course, of the Torn deity.
I never knew this happened.
Thrall has always been at the forefront of lore that will define this arc. He helped understand the elements. He became an avatar of Azeroth.
This was what's it called? This was edgy, not appropriate for today's society version of Alexstrasza. Wonderful.
Azeroth's earth energy and helped many champions get their start defending her. It's pretty damn clear why Thrall is important then. But what about Anduin? He has had no particular connection to this World Soul. He's either been peacemaker or forced to be, in a way, a warlord in a war that he never wanted. Anduin's story always revolved around the many characters around him. He's as much defined by his friendship with Saurfang or Rathian as he is for facing off against Garrosh or Sylvanas. But above all else, he's kind of defined by 2 things: trauma and hope. His mother died when he was young. His father then disappeared.
Yeah, everyone bitches out Anduin. Guy had a horrible freaking childhood. I've said it many times. His mom died. His dad disappeared. The people he trusted most, one of them turned out to be a fucking dragon who was trying to corrupt everything. He goes on to, Pandaria, watches his father fight in a crazy war, and then dies later in a puff of smoke against the Legion. I mean, this guy's had a fucked up childhood, man. Yeah, so I empathize with him a little bit. I do want him to. I want to see him man up a little bit in this next expansion. I'm hoping that happens, and I think it will. He's going to find the light again. He's going to become the true king that we need. I still trust that Anduin's going to become a good character.
His kingdom was usurped by a dragon.
A man's
he got
man.
lost in Pandaria, where he developed further his connection to the light, and with that, eventually some void-related things would happen. Then suddenly, he was king of the most powerful military in Azeroth, a peacemaker now
By
with
the
a
way, he
sword
becomes
in
king.
his hand.
And the biggest war between the factions ever occurs. Like right after he becomes king. This guy's had no luck.
It's this crossroads that makes Anduin so important. He was a practitioner of the light, but felt how powerful the void could be, something that is made very clear in one of the recent Warcraft novels. He wanted peace. His whole life strove for it, but he had to make extremely hard decisions in war.
Yeah, that was Sylvanas'
And even
fault.
as a teenager, he had his major brush with death when he tried to plead for peace with Garrosh. Garrosh, who of course claimed the Divine Bell and almost killed Anduin in the process.
I was going to say, didn't Anduin almost die
Anduin was
there?
scarred by it all, and when it culminated, he was taken by the jailer and made into a tool of literal evil, forced to live in a waking nightmare. Now a more broken man, in a way a bit of a blank slate. He won't look at the light and see sanctuary. He won't necessarily look at the void and see evil. He will see things more for what they are, even potential threats. All this is crystallized in the cinematic. A broken
So
man
it's actually
ready
pretty-
to pick up his sword
Like, it was very touchy-feely, but the look of this cinematic, man, is actually very good.
again, and perhaps exit his self-imposed exile, and a world-weary shaman ready to guide him through that.
By the way, have you guys ever noticed that, real quick, when Anduin is holding, Charlemagne, his father's sword, in this cinematic, the entire cinematic that we are watching it, if I'm reviewing too fucking slow here, but Anduin's holding the sword, and the sword is empty of that little light ball, and I wonder if that's symbolic of the fact that he's kind of lost touch with the light. Usually there's a ball of light here in the sword. It's never here in this cinematic. And we've seen it in all the other times he's holding it. He's got that ball of light every time he picks it up in there, and now it's completely gone. So I feel like that was like symbolic of the fact that he doesn't have touch with the light
World-weary
anymore.
shaman ready to guide him through that process, which details the arc of our first main characters, Thrall and Anduin.
switch to warrior.
But of course, from the key art, we do know that somebody else is going to be important.
Yeah, see, like even in the key art, there's no light in there. So I wonder, like, when he finally does get in touch with the light again, if that's going to be like, oh, this great moment, and the ball fills up again and all that stuff.
But to truly understand how important Alleria's arc is going to be throughout this saga, we first need
Uses
to know
rage now.
what
Well, he has
lies
to, yeah, he
beneath
doesn't have the
the
light.
Isle of Dorne. We need to know about Xal'atath and the Void. Azeroth's voice is calling us underground. Luckily, during Dragonflight,
What
we
lies
heard about the
beneath?
realm of Khazalgar, where Earthen, long disconnected from the Keepers, developed a civilization of their own, which brings us to the Isle of Dorne, west of Pandaria.
Someone, this allied race, by the way, someone was commenting on one of my other YouTube videos, and they said, I thought these dwarves were going to be bigger than regular dwarves. They're not. But when he said that, I was like, damn, Blizzard should have done that. Because when you put armor on these guys, you cannot tell that they are anything other than a regular dwarf. Like, there's no way to know that these guys are not just regular dwarfs. Because all their aesthetics and everything show on their skin. There's nothing in particular that's very unique about them.
Up to civilization
And, like,
of
even the beards, I don't know. I guess they have different color beards, but, like, at least the Dark Iron dwarfs, they've got, like, lava fucking on their beards. So you could tell right away. These guys are just, like, different variations on beards.
their own, which brings us to the Isle of Dorne, west of Pandaria, southeast of Kalimdor, slap bang in the South Seas.
Clay.
And at the heart of this island is the earthen city of Donegal, which does rather sound like County Donegal in the fantastic country of Ireland that I am from. Who knows? Maybe
I
Blizzard
love
will be
this.
doing some
Can't wait to go
inspirations
there.
there. Anyhow, the Algarian Earthen were once tasked with keeping the mighty titanic machinery below the surface functioning. What was this machinery for? Well, we have two reads so far. Number one, we find out in Dragonflight that these Earthen were sent to investigate an anomaly in a deep fissure in the earth. We
Interesting.
have no idea what that anomaly is, but we can assume, considering that in the depths of Khazalgar there appears to be a Nerubian kingdom, that this anomaly may indeed have something
Right.
to do with the void. But it could go much deeper. The second read in this is that the machinery of Khazalgar is in a way key to keeping Azeroth in the Titans' chains. But perhaps to understand that,
so we're gonna
we
break
need to
the
learn
chains,
about
as the jailer said.
Coreway. Below Dorne is the Ringing Deeps, which will show us that, left to their own devices, the Earthen drifted from the edicts of the Titans and are now divided into 3 sects. There are the Oathsworn, who are still hardcore about the Titans. They maintain the Coreway, a path that leads directly to the heart of Azeroth, a path to the world's soul. Already, we know that in the next expansion, we will find the highway to the heart of the world itself.
Yeah.
Next are the Unbound, who mind
The heart of the world, or the prison of the world. That'd be the right way to say it.
resources that were
Because this
required to
world is a
maintain the
prison.
Titans' machines. They now go about their lives no longer slaved to the Titans. Then we have the Machine Speakers. They live deep underground, and they disdain those who live on the surface. It seems they've either gone a bit mad
But they should at least make these crystals stick out from the armor or something, as if Blizzard ever cared about clipping before. They never did, so these should be allowed to stick out. But from what I've seen, when you put armor on these guys, the crystals don't show anymore.
perhaps now speak to the machine.
Or they should have given them,
far
like,
more
crystal
likely,
beards. That
it
would
could
have
be
been cool.
connected to something a little bit more fundamental. Through this Coreway that they've maintained for thousands of years, maybe they've started to speak to something else. Maybe to Azeroth. It is perhaps then through these Earthen that we will ultimately learn a little bit, the first breadcrumbs of just what else the Titans were up to when they crafted all of these mighty machines across the world, the sorts of things that we found, as an example, in Northrend. It is then through this Earthen culture and its various factions that we will learn a little bit more of what's truly going on. Going deeper still,
up,
we find
Farfel?
Harrowfall, and a surprise. The true
Harrowfall.
blood, living line of the Arathi of Lordaeron.
So badass.
The Arathi were the first
badass.
human tribes in Lordaeron, and they built the 7 kingdoms. They found the light, introduced magic to humanity, and drove much of the story of warcraft, from
I can't wait to
Arthas
interact
to
with these
Gen,
guys.
even reclaiming Guildneas in 10.2.5. But how the hell did they end up here, far from home? Well, the hint is in their capital city, Merladar. You see, back in
Man, look at this. Look at the aesthetic of this. This is like Scarlet Monastery meets Paladin Order Hall. This looks so good. Oh, God, I can't. I'm losing it, man. I cannot wait to get in here and see this place. And just the lore behind, like, they're the first Arathi and all. It's so cool. It's so cool. And their armor sets, I'm sure he's going to show them at some point, look so damn good. Now, they haven't shown us yet that we're going to get to wear them. But for sure we're going to. Even if it's a rep grind behind it or something. Or some type of, what's it called? A renown thing? Oh, my God. I'll do it. I'll do it because the armor looks so good.
the day, humanity had to fight an existential war against the Amanai Empire. Humanity's
as Mythic Plus,
greatest
that'd be
general was
great.
named Lordaeron, which is in fact where the name Lordaeron comes from. But his sister was visited by a Naru during the war, taught others how to heal, and started the Church of the Holy Light. From this point, accelerate 2,500 years, and what do we have? We have the likes of the Knights of the Silver Hand.
Awesome.
Now,
All
look
makes sense.
at this massive crystal sticking out of the ground in Harrowfall. Look at the runes. Is that a Naru? It's certainly something from the light. And at
People
night,
keep commenting on all my other videos. They're like, "Oh, that's the tip of the sword, Sam." I think Blizzard confirmed that is not, in fact, the tip of Sargeras' sword. It's not just the tip. Is that true? Did I make that up? I'm pretty sure that they confirmed that it was not the tip of the sword. And this could just be a Naru or something. It's not. Yeah, I thought they confirmed that. But this whole thing is so cool because it's an underground zone. Like when we were going through all of the, Zarlek caverns and all that shit. Like it was fun for a little bit, but then there's something about just being underground in a zone for that long that I just didn't want to be there anymore. But this zone, the way they created this crystal and everything, it feels like you're still outdoors. That's why I like it so much. This is a very cool looking zone.
it has a void state.
They did confirm it was
or
a
rather,
crystal,
its
yeah.
void state is the nighttime for this underground realm. Light and void in one crystal. Of course, if you're familiar
Yeah,
with the
it
deep
was.
lore of the
It was a
Naru,
beta test, that's
this
true.
makes complete sense. And my personal guess is that this may indeed be the Naru who visited Mereldar and told her to go on the crusade and start the Church of the Holy
That
Light.
makes sense.
And while yes, this is speculation, one need only look at the name of their capital city and the fact that there is a massive crystal that 100% is exhibiting the behavior of a Naru. Of course, this civilization has been here for a very long time, and I would guess for good reason. They may even be fighting for the destiny of that Naru crystal, keeping it in the light state and fending off those who would turn it to void.
Their airships are so cool too, like powered by the light.
And the Nerubians of Azkahet.
Damn Nerubians.
Far below Dorne is Azkahet, a Nerubian kingdom long hidden in isolation. The last we saw of the Nerubians in Warcraft, they were at the edge of extinction. Even before the events of Warcraft 3, the Lich King would launch the War of the Spider against Northrends and Nerubians. This is a kingdom, the Nerubian Empire of the time in Northrend had stretched.
The Nerubians are badass, but like if you know the lore behind the Nerubians and the Lich King had a ton of trouble with the Nerubian Empire. It was a very hard thing for him to conquer. They were specifically very resistant to like his magic and stuff like that, and all that stuff. They were very tough for him to take down. So the Nerubians ain't no joke. They're badass, and I'm glad they're finally getting like the attention they deserve.
Across the majority of the continent, and they were so powerful that they initially ignored the Lich King. His necromantic powers did not work on their corpses, leading to constant stalemate. But the Lich King eventually learned how to use his domination, mind control magic, and the war would pretty much end up being finished. Those who survived dug deeper. They dug further, and seemingly...
These guys are new. Like there's like evolved Nerubians now, and that's why some people are like, oh, playable race. I don't think that's the case. But they do, in fact, these are new. We've never seen these types of Nerubians before. They're like humanoid Nerubians.
These may indeed be the Nerubians that we find
they're
below
void empowered ones. Yeah, right here.
But now Xal'atath has given them an opportunity to rebuild their empire, to reform their greatness, and it's all leading to something. Throughout Dragonflight, we had questioned Iridikron's true intentions. Now we know that he fought a war against the Titans for so long he's essentially gone mad and will do anything for his victory. Ironically, he was so preoccupied with the Titans taking Azeroth that he allied with the Void, who have rather the same intentions. His part of the bargain was reclaiming the essence of Void put into Galakrond, the thing that made him so dangerous. Armed with
I
that
wonder
essence,
if we're
their plan
we're gonna kill Iridikron at some point. I wonder if it's gonna be in the War Within or not until like the midnight or the Last Titan or something. Because his whole thing is he wants to bait the Titans out and fight them, and he's probably gonna get at least close, or he's gonna do it, and then we're gonna have to kill him at some point. And I hope he drops good loot. But I wonder if he's gonna be the end boss for the War Within.
Pry Azeroth from the Titans' grasp.
If I had to guess, I would think Xal'atath should be the end boss for Midnight. That would make more sense to me. She's going to continue on. So the War Within has to have an end boss. It probably will be Iridikron.
Is somewhere down the line. The first step in that plan, seemingly, is using some of that power to mutate and evolve the Nerubians of Azkahet into a newer, more glorious and powerful form to serve Xal'atath's needs. What does Xal'atath get in return for all this Nerubian stuff? Obviously, some key to victory. The old gods are dead, their blood soaks the earth.
I'd be surprised if he lived that long,
We're now getting into a whole new era of lore speculation.
We'll probably kill him in the next expansion.
Il'gynoth and N'Zoth, perhaps they may be relevant in the future, but they feel just a tad less relevant now. Void is looking and feeling a little bit different. The Nerubians are collecting the blood of those dead old gods so that Xal'atath can do something. The question then is what? And when
isn't Icecrown itself made of the blood of an old god? Isn't that the case with it? It's made of that freaking that special metal. So I mean, now these Nerubians are collecting that stuff too. That's interesting. Yeah, Yog's blood, exactly. So we know that blood from old gods can be turned into all kinds of things, all kinds of metals and stuff. So I wonder if we're gonna see some really cool like weapons come out of this or something. or cool
And when
architecture.
we look into the past of
Serenite,
Xal'atath,
yes.
there has long been a
what it's
speculation
called.
that she is indeed the remnant of a lost fifth old god that was consumed by the other four. It's quite an incredible story, but it is contained within the Legion artifact knowledge that you get for the Blade of the Black Empire. Now, if Xal'atath is on a bid for power, then perhaps reclaiming her old god form is on the cards. Or
You know,
maybe
I still don't think Xal'atath is an old god, actually. I don't think she's an old god. They call her, again, the Harbinger. And I just think she is like a person who brings the old god. She's like the Silver Surfer. You know, for you guys ever, people don't know the Fantastic Four and the Silver Surfer, all that shit. Like, he wasn't the bad guy. He just used to bring the Devourer of Worlds. Like, he was the one to bring him. He would set the world up, and then bam, the Devourer would show up and destroy the world. I feel like that's what she is. She's like the bringer of the Void Lords, essentially, and that's why she's here. And maybe, right? She was imprisoned by the old gods. And the old gods they are from the Void Lords, but they never really work with them. Like, they kind of do that. They're just power hungry. They go for their own thing. They just want to take over the world. So it would make sense to me that the old gods would want to stop her from bringing the Void Lords, so they can just exist and rule over Azeroth. Because once the Void Lords come, I would think Azeroth's going to be destroyed at that point. So it would make sense to me that they would imprison the bringer of the Void Lords to stop them from coming too soon, at least.
Or maybe it's something else.
I feel like
some
that lore
form
is
of
going to play
power.
out.
Point is, what happens if that crystal goes void? What are
Elune
the
could be the
Nerubians
fifth. Yeah,
doing
Elune
with
being the fifth
blood
old
of
god
the
makes
old
more
gods
sense to me than
that they currently
Xal'atath being
are
a fifth old god.
harvesting. And this brings us to our final protagonist character of this expansion, Alleria Windrunner, because she is the Void Hunter with Xal'atath in her sights. Xal'atath is squarely framed as an antagonist thus
Oh my
far.
god, why the fuck did it become huge like that? Yeah, why did it become... Indeed,
But she does, in fact,
Fucking I
use the
say
very
things
same
in chat
power
just
that
runs
Alleria
through.
wields, the Void, which should be a hint at where some of this story is going. Since N'Zoth first warned us about something terrible coming for Azeroth, we've been onboarded to Warcraft's most modern arc. Now, a Void is some purely evil force. How is it that one of our heroes is able to wield it and somehow not turn into a villain?
Yeah,
well,
Alleria's
we have in
special.
fact heard it from Alleria herself. The voice that she hears is in fact different than the voice at the heart of our planet.
Right.
For her, there is no radiance.
Everyone describes Azeroth's voice as a song so far, except her. She describes it as something much more dark and
only a taunting voice. Now, what is Alleria hearing? Well, the voice is coming from one of two places as we see it. One, it's the Void speaking to Alleria and drowning Azeroth's calls out.
Yeah.
The voice taunting her from below could literally be Xal'atath, and perhaps they are just setting up that Alleria will have some insider knowledge while we are facing off against the
N'Zoth tried
Harbinger,
to warn us, that's
which
right.
of course is Xal'atath. But perhaps on the other hand, maybe the voice that Xal'atath hears is still Azeroth.
That Alleria
Maybe
hears,
the old gods were successful in some way. Maybe their tendrils got to the heart of our world and now a part of...
Look, I mean, I hate to bring him up, but the Jailer also warned us about it. N'Zoth warned us about the Void Lords, and the Jailer did, I think. In his final line where he goes, you cannot stop, a world divided cannot stop what is to come. I think he was talking about the Void Lords. I think he saw that shit coming. He was trying to do something with the world soul, either kill it to make them go away or use it to fight against them. I don't know. He had some kind of plan. I don't even think Blizzard knows what his plan was, honestly. But he was talking about the Void Lords, I think.
of her is infested, infected with void.
Jesus.
Is that a bad thing? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe the composition of Azeroth is supposed to be in balance, right? All of these great forces and things, not any one monolithic weird thing. And in a way, balance is a point of Alleria's character, and by extension, Locust Walker and his control of the Void, it kind of gets to this. One day, we're going to need to harness these Void powers, so we need to start learning how useful these powers can be. How can we actually use them? Are they inherently evil?
Harnessing of the void and all that, it's going to happen in the Midnight expansion. It's very also elven focused. You got the void elves who are already dabbling in void magic and all that. So all that stuff will probably happen in the Midnight
Better
expansion.
way to do that than one of the main characters driving this expansion. And this rounds off the immediate arc of World of Warcraft, The War Within. We are going to the Isle of Dorne, and then we are going underground, where we will see two major stories play out. First, Earthen, who have lost faith in the Titans, and second, the Void returning to Azeroth. Beyond that, Midnight, the second expansion, returns to Quel'Thalas, where Void will try to claim the Sunwell. This is the big Light versus Void expansion. It is the fight that will settle the Void arcs of both Xal'atath and Ashara. The Light will be involved, and obviously Blizzard are seeding that with these Arathi humans that we meet underneath the Isle of Dorne. Likely then we will come to some form of understanding about the truer nature of things. And I will refer you to a quote from Xal'atath from back in Legion, where she said that the Naru are to her but long-lost brethren. What does that mean?
Lost on the true path.
In Midnight, I think we're going to finally find out.
I mean, we've seen Naru bounce back and forth between Void and Light, so that's an interesting one.
That just leaves the second story.
Maybe she's saying their natural state is the Void state.
That is the remit of our final expansion, at least in this saga, The Last Titan, where, as we are told by Chris Metzen himself, we will uncover a conspiracy about the Titan stretching back to the dawn of the world as we know it. The biggest clue to the conspiracy is this. Look at the logo of The Last Titan. Behind it are rings. They are rings around a light that likely represents our world soul.
That's right.
And these are rings that, even if you don't recognize it, you've seen before. Because those rings are the same rings that imprisoned the incarnates in the vault of the incarnates.
Oh, Sam already talked about this a long time ago.
Azeroth is Azeroth. Look at that, everyone's catching up to me. A source of great power for whoever can claim her. Titans
I know.
are
it's old
but
news
one
now.
Group who wish to do so.
The
Void beat them to it. The old gods infested the world, but the Titans were able to defeat them. They were able to defeat them, and they were able to hone the planet, craft the planet, build systems, build defenses, and build things that would infuse their magic into her very heart. The implications of that, whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, and what even the Titans will be. Will they be monolithic bad guys? Will they in fact be another group? Some of whom will be our allies, others who will be our enemies. Well, that will be the arc of The Last Titan. And I have a little bit of a feeling that Aman'Thul may not be such a cool guy, but...
No, he's definitely not a cool guy.
The likes of Agramar and Aenar, well... maybe, as has been evidenced by some very interesting tales we found in the Emerald Dream, maybe they will turn to our side. And that is it. This is what we know about World of Warcraft, The War Within.
So, I mean, we all know that A&R and all that, they've created stuff that our boy right here, he didn't like. He didn't like it at all. He doesn't like Unbound Life and stuff like that. It pisses him off. He prefers, thing without a free will, just, obeying his command. Anything that's life-ridden, that has a free will, he sees it as a threat. He's kind of a dick.
Really vibe with how Dragonflight felt. How to you, then, does this feel? Nerubians, the classic Warcraft 3 villain, Arathi human paladins, whose light is expressed by burning fire, who use airships. Awesome. Come on. To me, that's pretty damn cool.
I think Tyr will be on our side.
Has marvelous potential as a future antagonist for us all to fight. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for sticking around for today's video, and I'll see you next time.
Another great one from the Bellman. Yeah, good video. I think the lore going forward, it's in good hands. It's with Metzen, so I feel like he's been doing a good job so far. I'm very excited about these new zones, and the new story seems promising. We'll see where it goes.